But let's cross over to our guest who can expand on this. Fatma Karume is a former president of the Tanganyika Law Society. Joins me now from Nairobi via Skype. Good to have you with us, Ms. Karume, on the programme. I think Catherine was giving us a sense, really, of what hurdles and what issues the new president has before her. I mean, Magufuli's tenure was tainted with allegations of cracking down on dissent and curtailing personal freedoms, yet was sometimes lauded for his anti-corruption stance. So what are we to believe at the moment in terms of what is the current state of play in Tanzania?
I think the most important thing that has come out of President Samia Suluhu's inauguration today was her statement that she would like to bring the country together again. She thanked the opposition for the condolences messages that were sent to her by the opposition. And she has really called for unification of a country. I think that is extremely important because she's taken cognizance of the divisive nature of the previous administration, and she would like to bring this country back together again.
You talk about unification there, and that's an interesting word, considering the late president tried everything and did everything in his power to make sure opposition voices weren't heard in Parliament and dissent was stifled. Where does this leave the opposition, even though they've made the right overtures during this period of mourning for the country?
You know, a country is not unified by cracking down on dissent or cracking down on the legal opposition of that country. In fact, what we have seen is you create fissures within the society because the opposition do have considerable support. We know that because in the last elections in 2015, these were the last free and fair elections, President Magufuli won by a 57% margin. Therefore, you can see that the country is one that has a considerable amount of interest or support. There are people who have support for the opposition. So it really is important that the opposition are brought into play and they are considered, and we move forward with a united country and an acceptance that the job of the opposition is actually to oppose and not to necessarily support government policy.
Well, of course, she might get some pushback, mightn't she, from sort of, you might say, senior leaders within the party and within Parliament, because the current president now, President Hassan, is from the semi-autonomous Zanzibar region, and the rest of Parliament, you might say, in the cabinet are very much under Magufuli's control from the mainland. How much leeway could she have within cabinet to change policy slightly, to change direction? Because I'm leading to the issues of COVID-19 policy, which has confounded the international community.
We have in Tanzania what we refer to lawyers as an imperial presidency, which means that she is completely responsible for whatever policy that she wants to put in place, subject only to the party manifesto. What we saw during the Magufuli era was a complete disregard of the party manifesto and the CCM policies. It was basically a one-man show. So it'll be interesting to see what she does in future. Will she go back to the party manifesto? Will she then make this part of her policy? Or will she go out on a limb and come up with her own policies? Or will she continue with the Magufuli policies? I hope to see a more independent Samia Suluhu. I hope to see a Samia Suluhu who goes back to the foundations of her party, and because that is predictability. And what we need at the moment in Tanzania is predictability.
Well, we shall see what happens, certainly, as she takes office and what happens in the coming weeks and months. For the moment, Fatma Karume, thanks so much for joining us from Nairobi.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.